This is the Cerebus flag, but the origin of its design is a bit of a mystery. For much of the Revolution, John Paul Jones was waging war on the high seas, invading the British Isles, and harassing the British Navy with an onslaught of raids. On September 23rd, 1779, Jones had his greatest moment in the Battle of Flamborough Head. Jones captained Bonhomme Richard, a converted merchant ship with 42 guns, in a clash with the British Serapis, a 44-gun frigate commanded by Captain Richard Pearson. Pearson drove his bow into Jones's stern early in the fight and asked whether the American was to surrender. "I have not yet begun to fight," Jones said, and neither had he. The ships battled for 2 hours, bow to stern, muzzle to muzzle, so close that the Serapis couldn't open her gun ports and had to blast them off from within. Despite the fact that the Bonhomme Richard was sinking, the British captain lost his courage and surrendered. After nailing his flag to the mast, he was now forced to rip it down with his own hands. Jones, now commanding the Cerebus without a flag, headed to the neutral Dutch port island of Texel. Officials in Great Britain claimed that Jones was a pirate because he sailed a sea vessel flying no national standard, and they demanded the Dutch turn over the Serapis and Jones back to England. The Dutch government found itself in a very difficult situation. It did not wish to back the British government, its long-standing maritime rival. It also did not want to become overly engaged in the battle between the British and the Americans. They did, however, agree to demand that Jones and his fleet leave the harbor by a specific date to give the impression that they were not helping the Americans, but they were working behind the scenes to find a method to recognize the ship to avoid handing Jones over. The story, however, gets a little tricky from here since there is no primary documentation on how the design for the Cerebus flag came about. What we do know is the Dutch sketched the design for the flag in their naval records. It is the only description of the American flag with this unique design. Most historians believe that within a few days, someone in the Netherlands made contact with Benjamin Franklin, who was the American ambassador in Paris. It is unknown who the contact was, but it is possible that Jones recommended they contact Franklin, who subsequently responded to the Dutch authorities with a description of an American flag. The Dutch government then drew Franklin's description and submitted it into the official Dutch record of national flags. Jones then promptly constructed a flag based on the sketch, which became the Cerebus flag, and thereafter flown aboard the Serapis. This also gave the Dutch government the authority to formally acknowledge the ship and avoid dealing with the piracy charge. It is worth noting that the Serapis flag is also called the Franklin flag.